once the year's over with.
How much?
$5,000 to $7,000
From garage and motor?
garage and motor.
That you'll overlap?
Roll over into that fund to make that work. And it takes about $5,000 to properly outfit a car, and because we don't have the, we can't recycle the equipment from one of the existing cars, we'll have to buy new equipment to go into a new vehicle. I also need to purchase at least 3 new laptops. The laptops that we purchased when I first came on as chief here, they're becoming end of life. We purchased Dell laptops. We don't get the high-grade military styled equipment that has such a high tolerance for usage. We get the equipment that has a 5-year warranty on it. The laptops have a 5-year warranty, and we've had great success with Dell. They'll come out and fix the problem within 24 to 48 hours. They'll send a technician out to fix whatever the problem might be with the laptop. As opposed to spending $2,200 to $2,800 on a laptop, we can spend $1,800 and do a much better job with that piece of equipment for each officer. And the officer is going to need their laptops because we're moving to a new RMS system that requires them to have constant communication with the records management system and also dispatch. In addition to that, I'm looking for...
Can I ask a question?
Sure, absolutely.
What line item does that laptop
Thank you very much.
come out of?
Thank you very much. That would come out of police equipment.
And
Sorry.
supplies, 5240?
Yes, sir.
And how much would the 2 new laptops cost?
2 new laptops are about $1,800 each.
3 new laptops.
2 to 3. I can get away with just getting 2, but the third one needs to be replaced by the end of the year in 2019. 2 of them need to be replaced in the middle of the year.
And in 2018, the council put in funds for 2 new radios at $4,500 a piece. The 2019 proposal has only 1 new radio
Yes.
and the 3 laptops.
And I have an encouraging story about that.
So you're looking at the line item 5240 to pay $3,600 for the laptops and then that radio, is that right?
That's absolutely correct. Thank you.
What is the cost of the radio?
Cost of the radio is $4,200, but as I stated, I have an encouraging story about that I'd like to share.
Okay.
Thank you. Well, so as we've had really big problems with our communication systems here in this particular area, Delphi, I'm hopeful that the county will continue with the project that they're wanting to implement by putting up a new repeater tower out at the RMC facility. This will alleviate the problem that we've had for a very long time of very poor communications. If you're in the courthouse, if you're on the south side of the river, north side of the railroad tracks, it's very difficult to get a signal. You might find one of us doing this with our radio, trying to click in with the tower quite frequently. And it's just a very dangerous situation. The other part of it has been that the high school has virtually no reception inside the building with our 800 megahertz radios, which presents a whole new circumstance of danger for officers in the school. But that's been going on for quite a bit of time. Now the county is looking to purchase that tower. And in addition to that, Motorola has offered us the opportunity to buy these same $4,200 radios for a discounted price if we purchase them all together. And that's primarily why I haven't purchased the radios that you gave me money for last year. It's because I'm waiting for that to come to fruition. And at that point, I'll go ahead and invest and buy what they're projecting the price for those radios to be from the regular $4,200 price will be now down to around $36, maybe even around $3,400. So it's a significant savings in money for us. So if we get that package all together, we'll be jumping in with the Sheriff's Department. They're planning to buy, I think, 24, 25 new radios. Flora may jump in as well and try to get a discount on their radios as well. I'd like to buy more at that price, but I realize that may not be optimal time to get that accomplished. So I guess the moral of that story is I may not have to spend as much money for the radio, one radio that I'm looking to purchase. I may actually save money from this year's budget by purchasing the radio with the tower site project. Is there any part of that you didn't understand? I'd be glad to explain it further.
So what we're putting in the budget is about double what you're proposing to spend.
Well, not quite. What we're putting in the budget will probably be not necessarily all that I'll need, if everything comes off the way that I'm planning. But if it works out with this year's budget and the radio, I'll probably end up saving around $1,000 with this year's radio. Now, if this works out as well, I'll be able to save that money, another maybe $1,200 to $1,500, maybe even $1,800 by waiting to purchase the radios that I was going to get with the money you gave me last year with this project. Does that help you out?
Yes, I guess.
Okay. That's about all I have, folks.
Discussion from the council, questions?
Yes, how many cars do we actually have in service right now?
We have in service, the car that I'm driving, we have three police cars.
And the
So
car that you're driving, so 4?
the car that I'm driving would be 4, yes.
And the years are?
The car that I have is a 2012, the car that, the other, next car in line would be a 2014 to 2016, and then the SUV, which is a 2018.
Does that include the blue car, or?
The blue car is a 2003.
So 5 will go.
Yes.
And it never moves. the blue
It
car.
doesn't move a lot.
Are we getting rid of that, or?
That would be our plan.
Well, there's at this point, it's a pool car that nobody uses.
I would hope that maybe the city might be able to utilize it, but it doesn't seem to generate any interest, so I see no reason to keep it any longer.
So let's take steps,
You don't have no mileage, do you?
surplus and get that.
I think I can do some of that. I think
Roundabout.
roundabout, my car is about 80,000, no, about 88,000. The 2014 is at about 85,000. The 2016 is at about 35 to 40,000, I think that's right. And the SUV is about 30,000 right now. I might add that vehicle has performed very well as far as maintenance.
So the one you're wanting to change out is the 12?
It is. Well, I'm sorry, that's not right, that's a mistake. I see no reason. The car that I'm driving is, you know, it's not used that much. The car I am concerned about is car number 3, which is a 2014. I apologize.
And we have had increased maintenance on that car recently. We had,
I replaced the air conditioning system at about $1,400. Had trouble with the lighting, the headlights, the bright headlights just stopped working. And that cost about $500 to get fixed.
I got a funny story about that.
I'm all interested in funny stories.
And I guess it has nothing to do with budget, so we'll talk about it at a different time. But I seen that car at 6 o'clock in the morning. In a very odd location. With one light.
Oh, okay.
That's one that has 85,000 miles on it?
Yes, that's correct.
And what was the miles on the 12?
About 88, I think that's where it's at.
And when did you purchase the 18? Did you
Right
get
at the
that?
beginning of the year,
Beginning of this year?
no, it was 17.
it was,
So told me it's
Yes.
2018, so.
yes, you're right, 2017.
2007.
Yes, I would have bought it in 2017, it was delivered sometime in March or May 2017.
So is it an 18 or 17 car?
You're right, I'm sorry, it's 17. I didn't mean to lie. I made a mistake.
Well, the reason I'm saying that is I'm looking, you got a 16 that's got 35,000 on it, and you got an 18 that's got, or 17, whichever you're gonna say it is, that's got 30,000 miles on it. It's pretty well easy just to look at the mileage, what everybody likes to drive, instead of kind of dividing it up and keeping
We're
the
trying to
miles
divide
lower
this,
on
yes.
all of them.
And with the 6 officers beyond chief, we do have 2 officers on each police car. But it seems like the part-time guys jump in the SUV when they're working. If one of the 2 squad cars is down, the preference seems to be jump in the SUV if their vehicle's broken down.
And it,
Of course,
it
but I
does-
mean, if there's no way of trying to govern how you're dispersing your miles onto your vehicles. And if we buy a brand new one and all of a sudden we're racking up more miles on our brand new one than we are on our other ones. Before we know it, our newest one's got a rack of miles on it, which is already catching the 16. And so then which one do you replace? You know, it seems like every year we're on this car, and I don't know, since I've been on the council, I thought we tried to pick up some sort of deal where we kind of budgeted a few years in advance and then had the money on hand every time. Instead of just, and it seems like to me right now, we just turn around and buy a car every year. Could be mistaken, but it just seems like we're always buying a new car.
We haven't bought a new car in 2018.
You do not have funds to buy a car in 18, you didn't fund it last year. 17 was the
So
last
it's a
time.
17, and that's
17
how he's
was
got
the last
30,000
physical
miles.
time
See,
you bought a
okay.
car.
See, years
But
it's
you
gotta
had
be
been buying
confusing.
one every year.
my fault. I said 18, I apologize.
As a story like you just had, didn't share, the SUV goes out past my farmhouse, which is about 15 miles out, nearly every day for exercise. So that's 75 miles a week.
This one was almost all the way to Lafayette at 6:30 in the morning on the Heartland without a headlight.
Was it the police car or the SUV, or was it,
It's a police car.
I mean, the SUV, or?
I believe it was your 2014's got a headlight problem because it had a headlight out.
Is it the marked car then?
Yeah, because I come off of 39 going that way, and I seen him as I was coming, he's coming out onto Old 25, and we went to, I believe it's 450 in Tippecanoe County.
Okay. Well,
Where he turned off on it, because I couldn't figure out where he went. I knew he turned behind me. And then when he finally caught me and passed me, because I seen the car with one light, I thought, well, that's surely not our police car. And then when he passed me, I thought, oh, that's our police car.
yeah, well, I would say,
But that would help our mileage too.
sure.
I mean, if we're assistant floor, I understand, but
Yeah.
if we're just saying, well, I gotta be to work at 6, and now I need to run home and get the stuff I forgot to get, I don't know if you have somebody that lives out that way that's on the force, I don't know where all of them live, but keep your mileage down.
Yeah.
They're not personal vehicles, I mean.
I would appreciate it if you see something like that, please let me know right away so I can deal with it instead of having to go back and try to figure out what happened.
Yeah, I couldn't even tell you the whole day, it's not the first occurrence. As Carolyn
think
said,
all of
I
you-
know Carolyn's brought it up a couple times where she's seen them out different places and they
It's
said it's
routine, it's every
exercise
day.
day.
It's every day. It's not, sometimes.
It's just, it's a little disturbing when we're racking up buying cars because of miles and we're way out of our patrolling areas, going wherever we're going, doing it. Bothers me.
I think all of you have my cell phone number. I would encourage you to give me a call if you find something that disturbs you like that. Let me know. I'll address it. You need to know about it right away.
Well, my suggestion is that if we are in favor of actually buying a police car, I would suggest instead of fiddling with 2 different line items, how about we knock 5220, the garage and motor, how about we take that down to 23,000, since you're gonna take out of it anyway, and then increase 5430 if we're going to buy a car, and the consensus is that way, bump that up to 32, and that way you've got enough to cover a new police car. Instead of fiddling out of two line items, doesn't that make more
I
sense?
think what Steve was saying to you, he intends out of this year's budget, to encumber funds. He intends to have 5,000 to 7,000 left, and he intends to encumber that, and after the first of the year, he will purchase a new car. So he will be purchasing it out of his 2019 budget, but out of funds he encumbers from 2018. Now, I don't know how you're equipping it, that other 7,000, but that's his purchase price, that's how he's figuring that.
I based it on what he said, purchase price range was.
I would take the money out of this year's, encumber it from this year, I didn't use that
How
word.
much has been encumbered in garage and motor?
We won't know until the end of the year.
We won't know that until the end of the year exactly, but I'm estimating between 5 to 7.
So then do we need 30,000 in there at this point for this next year?
I would leave that alone.
We spent,
I know you.
we spent 25 back in 2013, 18 and 14, 5,715, 52,016. I think part of that included the police car, 24,017. To date, we're halfway through the year about, we'd spent 11,600 in garage and motor. If you double that, we're at 23, but we did have those additional expenses of air conditioning and the lights. So 30,000 just on garage and motor. I mean, we anticipate spending 23 to 25,000 this year.
And that also goes for fuel as well, so each month,
I was gonna say, if you got that kind of problem, then we need to be buying different kind of vehicles. If you're paying, there's gotta be something else than $30,000 in garage
The
and
police
motors than just
department
repairs
has
on
the
your vehicle.
largest fuel bill.
If you're paying $30,000 on repairs on 4 vehicles, we got some limits.
How much do you spend in fuel a year then?
I don't have that figure with me, but I'm looking at about $1,500 probably per month. I think that's probably right. About $1,500 a month.
Yeah, probably a little less than that.
I think you're a little high.
In 2017, you averaged $950 a month. So it was $11,400 for the year in 2017 on fuel.
9 what?
$11,400
900 a month?
average.
Said a month?
A month,
9 what?
50, 9,000 a year.
And then what'd you say was the 11?
$11,407.62
And that's for,
fuel in 2017.
You may as well say $1,000. I mean, that's really close.
How many miles do you anticipate driving per year? An average of 5,000 a month, an average of 6,000 or 4,000 a month?
I
Or do
would
you
say
average that out?
we're averaging about 5,000 miles a month. And that's what we're doing. We're out there on the streets, and they're out there in an area where they can be seen, be visible, see what's going on.
Okay.
What if it is personal miles? Can you determine that at all?
It's an interesting point. I think with the new records management system that we're getting, that there would be some kind of GPS determining factor, so it might be something that we can look at more carefully.
There are occasions where, I mean, we've got to go down to Indianapolis to pick up
Very role, laboratory,
kids.
training. There are occasions certainly where they do take the cars and go to training at various locations.
So it's my understanding you do lie detector tests
They do.
frequently, or how often is that?
It varies. Sometimes I can do 2 a month, sometimes I might not do any a month. they're both criminal and administrative tests, so I might be testing a potential applicant for either the sheriff's department or another agency or whatever. And then criminal tests as well for a criminal topic.
Is there any compensation for that?
I do it because we cooperate with each other. Our common goal is to serve the public and get that guy out the street and hire a good cop. Thank you for asking.
Well, listening to the city judge and looking at the figures every month that we get and everything like that, personally, I don't see that where we have the numbers to justify adding another officer.
Which numbers in particular? Citations, arrests, calls for service,
Yes.
incidents, all of them? I mean, calls for service, we've increased from about 700 in 2009 to 1,400 in 2017, more or less. Arrests, we've increased not a ton. Citations have decreased, incidents
A
have
lot.
decreased slightly. Incidents have decreased a lot.
So traffic tickets.
Oh, sorry, that's what I meant, citations, not incidents.
Which does a lot of different things. There's a lot of different dynamics to that. I mean, that makes our income into our courts go down. That means that we're not stopping hardly anybody.
Oh, not necessarily.
I haven't contested that, if you don't mind.
We could have,
Then where are
I
the
think,
where-
I think
where are
a
the
lot of
numbers
what's happening
coming
now
from
is
that?
we're issuing warning tickets and making contacts. They're making contacts out there. They may not be writing paper for everyone, but they're working on giving that number up. Good night, point taken.
Still don't see it.
Could you, on all the numbers you got, what's the amount of activity after midnight compared to before?
I don't have those available. I have 6P to 6A and then 6A to 6P. Historically, in the last 10 years, calls for service has been 65 to 70% during the day, 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. Whatever the other 35% has been night shift. Arrests is kind of the exact opposite of that. Arrests have typically been 60 to 70% on the night shift, then 30 to 40% days.
Again, my swing is on the other side of the midnight, because I'm kind of like, have two officers on from 6 p to midnight. When the activity is good, because I'm thinking, I live here, we all live here, that from 1 o'clock in the morning on Tuesday morning till 6 a.m. Tuesday morning, there's just not a lot going on. And when I just, we all live here, there's just not a lot that happens there. And now we're looking at paying them 2 people to be.
This officer would really, by the time you add in the benefits, it's 90,000.
That's assuming they are on family insurance. Because you've got 52,000 if they were patrolman first class, which it wouldn't be for a year, plus I think 22,000 for a family plan. 74 plus 10,000 per 84 plus FICA Med.
Well, I took it from your figure, so it would add it to 90,721.57, so.
And that's actually quite a nice payoff, because when I looked up the average in the state of Indiana, and I looked at Frankfurt, I looked at all the others, 48 is about the average for a first class.
I was thinking Frankfurt was
I have it.
I was thinking their entering salary was 51.
The cost is going up. I mean, state police are not paying more, but I do appreciate the fact that this council has continued to keep that pay level at the point where it keeps good people where we want them at. And we have some good people.
I agree, I think we do have some good people, and I certainly appreciate what they do. But I think it's a scheduling thing of you know, I don't think there always needs to be 3 people in the daytime shift, I think. And often there isn't, certainly, because you're often not around, but, I think the scheduling could be, adjusted to, if officer can't actually, wants another person to, I don't think it's a safety issue. I know everybody wants to claim safety, but it's, I think it's a scheduling issue. And I'm not in favor of adding another officer at $90,000.
Well, I wouldn't go that far. I'm trying to figure a way to secure him back up when you have your evening officer from 6 p.m. to midnight. I believe that's a time when things are more active, and I wouldn't want just one officer on that.
But that's what I said, you could schedule, you could change your
Part-time, so-
scheduling so that there
Okay.
could be a second officer.
Got you.
Well, in fact, we talked about that last year at budget time, and suggested that the shift be, that one shift be moved back down or something to offset that for the safety of that officer. Was that attempted at all, or?
No, and the situation has basically been the officers who we have working at one shift are working very well together. We're seeing a great improvement in activity, and I'm seeing things being done that are important for our community to stop a lot of drug use and a lot of drug activity. I'd like to add another officer to that shift with Officer Kent to see an improvement in that area as well. And I think we could accomplish a lot with that. But again, I understand the funding issue completely. That's up to you.
Are you planning on retiring next year, Steve?
I've already retired once.
You're gonna retire in 2020?
Retire.
Thank you very much, but I really like this job and enjoyed it thoroughly, and I wasn't planning on quitting.
I just, there's $500,000 to run a police force for a town of our size just seems way out of control.
It has just
I mean, in the
increased.
10 years we've been here, it's
Increased,
just,
So,
Actually,
recently,
back in 2013, it was at 451,000. In 2018, it was at 451,000. They did increase during that time, and then came back down, and we did away with the $50,000 to the county. But if you go back in the early 2000s, you also had radio and dispatch, which it's not included in our budgets, but that added to the police department budget, even though it wasn't within the police department. I would argue that the police department's budget as a percentage of the entire general fund budget has actually decreased. Probably not every year, but it's decreased from early 2000 levels to what it is now.
I'd say from 2008 to where we are now, it's increased every year. I don't know what it costs to run a town our size. It just seems, I don't know what that budget is. I wasn't able to find anything that tells me what the police department on a town similar to our size, what their budget is. I didn't know where to look to see that. But I'm just curious, because it just seems crazy to me. I mean, I appreciate the job they do. I think they're doing a well of a job. I like all the officers we have and associated with. I'm not there, it's just seems like it's an awful lot of money every year. That's all I got.
let's decide something. I could be in favor of the police car at 25,000, or whatever the cost needs to be put in there.
Agreed. Anybody else have any input on that?
I'm good with the car. He's got that 2016. Once they start costing more $5,000-6,000 a year in repair, it's time to get rid of.
How you feel, Mike?
Need that quick.
I agree that we need to fund another police car. I mean, if we got one, and we're gonna have to spend $25,000 or $30,000 and put replacement every part and everything else on. It seems to me that we're replacing a 15, is that right?
14.
Or a 14,
Yes.
which is 4 years old.
Right. And
They got 85,000 or
They need to-
80,000
I didn't mention this, but I do need to say this. I think it's advantageous for us to replace a police car when it's under 100,000 miles. Because what we'll do, we'll take that car and take it to the auction. And once it's stripped out, everything's out of it, take it to the auction. It's not been marked with 2 colors, so we don't have to worry about being painted. So we'll get somewhere between $35,000 to $4,000 for it, which could be wrapped back into either the general fund or paid back into the police car. I haven't sold one for under 100,000 miles yet, but I understand the price could be significantly higher. We did sell one and got $1,500 for it and had 125,000 miles on it. After we get over 100,000 miles, just the police car is kind of hard to get any value out of it.
Dick, are you okay with a new car?
So what are we saying? Deducting an additional officer, is that the only change you're saying?
We're just dealing with the car right now.
Right. Well, no, I think we had talked about being on a regular rotation of replacing cars. We had agreed to that a couple of years ago. So, yeah, I'm in favor of that.
Okay, we're leaving the car at 25,000 there. And we're leaving, you said that from the police equipment supplies at 15,000, that
Yes.
you can equip this car.
That would be, the equipment and supplies for $15,000 in that budget would go towards laptops and.
I know, but that only added up to be 7,800, or almost
Actually-
8,000, so.
The 3 would have been $9,600 with $4,200 radio. But I'm hoping I can get that less and turn that money back in next year.
To equip the police car, cannot garage motor.